Ayesha Curry needs to be studied.
I think people are misunderstanding Ayesha Curry.
The guy comes out on the show with no shirt on or whatever, and she's like fake taking her ring off. I'm like, it goes to show, no matter what you have, we can get tired of what we have.
Do you think that she is tired of being Steph Curry's wife? Welcome to another episode of the Social Proof Podcast, where we are entrepreneurs. One of us is a tech founder. I am a founder, business coach, and we're here to talk to you about entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship adjacent topics. My name is Donni Wiggins.
Ayesha Curry needs to be studied.
Oh my gosh.
She needs to be studied, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. You know, we don't get into like celebrity stuff, but I've really been thinking really hard about this, and I mean, there's something to that. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe not Ayesha Curry, but it goes to show, no matter what you have, we can get tired of what we have.
No matter what you have, we can get tired. Do you think that she is tired of being Steph Curry's wife?
Yes. But it's like the grass is greener on the other side type thing. You know what I mean? You would think somebody that has money and they're comfortable, they got a place to stay, drives a car, take a shower, eat every day, right? You would think that they're okay with that, those the foundational things I just talked about. But I remember talking to a guy who he was listening to a lot of ET at the time, and he was like, man, I really think I just want to go homeless, bro, because I want to have that hunger and that grit to really go become successful. I'm like, bruh, you want to trade your life, because he said, yo, I just been too privileged, man. I'm thinking about really just going homeless, living in my car, and like giving up all my money. I'm like seriously thinking about this. The grass always looks greener, even when you got good grass. You're looking at turf over there.
So I think people are misunderstanding her. I'm going to play the devil's advocate here.
This is good.
I think people are misunderstanding Ayesha Curry. I don't think she's saying, I don't want to be a wife and I don't want to have these kids. I think what she's saying is, I was never the girl who grew up thinking about marriage. I was never the person who grew up wanting to be someone's wife. Many women, and I'm not comfortable saying most because I don't know the statistics on this, but I do know that many women dream of marriage, and that's all they can think about. All they can think about are boys and commitments and relationships, and they're imagining the white dress, and they cannot wait. Like, they've already picked their dress. They know the dress, they know the ring cut that they want, and they're just waiting for the man to step in. And then there are other women who never had those kind of imaginary thoughts. I never thought I would be a mother. Never. I was not the girl. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was not the young girl who dreamed of having a family. I was not the young girl who played with dolls pretending they were my kids. Like, I put my dolls to work. They were singers. Like, they were performers. Like, we danced and played. We didn't like play house. I can't remember that. But it was more associated with the fear of, like, as I got older, it was a fear of being a parent. Like, I couldn't imagine how a human would come out of my body. So I was opposed to the idea, like completely opposed. So when I talk about the fact that, I wasn't a kid I was a tomboy. Like, I wasn't thinking about sex with boys and all the things and the birds and the bees. I didn't care about any of that. But I turned out to be the best mother ever. Like, I'm the best mother ever. I'm the best auntie ever. I'm the best babysitter ever. So if I get on a podcast and say, I never saw myself having kids, people would take that clip and crucify me, not listening to the rest of, but now that I have it, I can't see my life without it.
I got you. Yeah, and I'm not condemning her either, because life is, we can't control how we think. We can't control how we feel, right? I do think it's an interesting topic, though, because, it seems like they have, a beautiful family, all that kind of stuff. It's just some of the things that she does and says could be very embarrassing.
1,000. Now, should she be saying some of these things?
The guy comes out on the show with no shirt on or whatever, and she's like fake taking her ring off. I'm like, why would?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Why would you do that?
She did that?
Yes.
So is Ayesha? But also, I think Steph knows who he married, right? Maybe she's
I don't think so.
Maybe she's just hilarious. Like, I can see a comedian on stage doing a similar thing. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I think that we get to live our lives privately. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a public element to our lives where we have to be careful to say certain things. You've said some things where you put your foot in your mouth and people misconstrue what you said, right? I think that her life is so public. I've definitely put my foot in my mouth. If I were Steph Curry's wife, they crucify me every dang on day.
No, but because there's a bunch of things that were said in the same area, though.
Jesus, I'm trying to help the girl out.
It's mad. And the reason I say he doesn't know who he married, because we change as people. So the person that he married, she's evolved, she's grown. And I think she has the right to say, I ain't never really want to be no shadow of nobody. But I understand it. I get it.
But that is to me, that's a valid feeling.
It is a valid feeling.
So they were, I don't know their full story, but I believe they have been together since before he was a star, right? Mm-hmm. And so the life that they lived at that time, she didn't have to be a shadow. She didn't have to worry about running to Walmart or Trader Joe's real quick and people are bombarding her with no interest in her life. What's up with your husband? What'd you think about that shot last night, right? And so now when we were together, we both got to shine in our, in our own lanes. But now my life is completely consumed by the megastar that you are, that we weren't prepared for, and now I have to adjust. And I'm simply answering the questions that are being asked of me and sharing with the world and saying, this is a tough transition for me. I am somebody too. I had a personality, I had dreams, and I have goals, but every single time I turn around, people are throwing Steph in my face. So I didn't imagine a life being a shadow. I imagined a life being a partner.
Yeah, and think about this in business too, because there are a lot of business partners where there's one person that gets all the credit. And I can understand how someone, if they have a big ego, or not even a big ego in a negative way, but they have the desire to be that person, it can create some dissension. You feel me? Like, we don't even know Pharrell's partner's name. I mean, somebody knows, but for the most part, we don't know Pharrell's partner, but I think a couple years ago we saw that there was like a clash. I like the fact, like Rashad and Troy, I like their relationship. Troy don't be tripping on the shine and the spotlight. I think brand-wise, Rashad's brand is bigger, but Troy like, we're building something together. That's in a case where business partners were like, we know what we're building. I'm not jealous of you. I don't want what you want. I don't need to shine or whatever. But when you got two people that are competing with the spotlight, we've seen it a million times in network marketing.
But does she have to be competing in the spotlight to be uncomfortable with it? Like, does she have to be competing with him for spotlight to be uncomfortable with what his spotlight has contributed to her life?
No. Well, I'm not saying she's competing. What I'm saying is, in the business partner scenario, I want the spotlight, you want the spotlight, but you're overshadowing me. I mean, you're like overshadowing me.
Yeah.
If that other person desires that, then it could cause some friction. And I just think she desires that.
Yeah, my very first business partnership ended for that exact reason. Like, when I had my very first business partner, we opened a clothing store and she communicated that she wanted to be behind the scenes. She didn't want the spotlight. I was already building like a persona online and taking people through stories. I already had like a Facebook following and, my blogging style of what I did. And she just wanted to be in the background, like buying the clothes that we sold in our boutique. And she didn't post on the internet. She didn't respond to people. So nobody knew I was that person. So anybody who came into our very first clothing store would always come in and ask for the owner, me, right? And it could be her standing right at the counter. And it's like, hey, I'm looking for Donnie, the owner. I'm looking for Donnie, the owner. And at first, she used to be so okay with that being that role because she didn't want to deal with the accounting. She didn't want to deal with the vendors. She didn't want to deal with what we're saying yes and no to, right? She didn't want to do any of the marketing online. She just wanted to buy the clothes. That was her talent. And as time went on, and now Macon, our store was in Macon, Macon publications are looking to feature the owner of this boutique, and people are giving praise, like we're doing something great, and people are giving praise to what we're building, but they're always referencing me as the owner. And one day she came to me and said, I feel like I'm your employee. I don't feel like I'm your business partner. And, you know, my response to her was, we're operating the way that you said you wanted to operate. I never wanted the pressure of being the only one to market, the only one who dealt with these people, and the only one to do all these things that I was the only one doing. But I also was honoring what you said you wanted at that time, right? And our business partnership ended up ending. Like, she couldn't handle it, and she would still never admit it to this day. Literally after our top day in sales up to that point, she literally left the store, called me the next morning and said, I'm done. I'm not coming back. But that day before, we had like a photo shoot. It was just all the things. And I understand why you might feel uncomfortable. It's not what you bargained for. Like, it's not the quiet build that you thought it might be. We're getting eyes on us. Superstars are, you know, like wanting to shop. Can we make something for them and all the things? And you've set this standard where you convinced yourself that you were okay playing the background, but now that the spotlight is shining, you're realizing you're not okay. And I think that might be what's happening with Ayesha. We don't know what she agreed to or what they agreed to in their marriage. I think, did she have like a legal career or something? Whatever, she had a career. I don't know what her career was, but she had a career path. And when you are one of the best players in history's wife, you got to fall back a little bit. You have to take care of the home. You have to take care of the kids. You have to show up in a way that supports him. You've got to follow his schedule. You're really marching at the beat of his drum. And I think she has suppressed how she's felt about that publicly for so long that it's like, now I'm having this outburst. Like, no, I don't want this life. I'm not okay with it. And I think it's fine for her to feel that way. And I think it's between her and Steph to determine whether or not it's embarrassing for them or not.
Yeah. Okay. Yo, this makes a lot of sense too, because I'm just looking at it. Obviously, just random chat GBT, so take this information with a grain of salt. But after finishing high school, she moved to Los Angeles to pursue acting in a modeling role. So when she says that she didn't originally plan to have children, this kind of makes sense, because I had this idea and this goal to be this actress.
Yeah, she wanted to be a star.
But then I fall in love, and I start making babies with this successful spouse. And I mean, at some point, you got to be the person that supports. Which she chose to support. So I understand. Again, I'm not even condemning. I think it's just an entertaining conversation.
Well, and that makes it even more reasonable. And maybe it's just she should be having these conversations around the fireplace at home,
maybe
and not having these conversations. But Steph may have told Steph, like, I want to be able to tell my story. Like, who are we to stop her from sharing her story? Like, her life experience is valid as well.
100%.
And understanding that she wanted to be a model and an actress is clear indication that she wanted to be a star. And they may have, we're speculating here, had a situation like, let's get your basketball career off the ground, get it to a stable place, and then I can go. But now your dude is one of the number one players in the whole history of the league. You don't get to go and be a movie star now.
100%. And you never know. A lot of that could be triggering for her. Anytime she sees a good movie, we watch the movie, but she might be looking at the star like, man, I'd have killed that role. If it wasn't for this success in this career and these kids and me being,
and she's probably looking at peers in the industry like, man, that could have been me.
That's right,
and
man.
I just, while I get it. Like, Steph has stayed married to her, so there has to be some level of compassion and understanding and consideration on his part. Otherwise, he could be out. He could have any woman that he wants to have,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But I don't think that it is okay to downplay what her experience is. Like, tell her you got to be quiet because Steph is the man. Like, yes, Steph is the man. And yes, there are some things that should be private conversation, but we don't know what their agreement is. And just like anybody else gets to talk about their trauma and their hurt and their journey, why can't she?
Yeah, you're right. She definitely can. But it makes for good conversation. You know what I mean? And that was the indication that one, I think it was a couple years ago, she was like, yo, I want to be desired by other men.
Okay, now that.
Which is a little wild. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that, I don't think it's right to say that, because you got to consider your spouse and how your spouse would feel.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was right to say that. I did hear that. And again, playing devil's advocate, I think Ayesha might be a person who is just like this completely transparent person. I guarantee her and Steph sit at home and have these same conversations, but she don't know what inside voice versus outside voice is. Yeah. And many married women have the same thought. It's not that they want another man. It's that they still want to feel like they're beautiful and they have it and they're desirable. Like, they don't want anybody to approach them, but men do it too. Yeah. Men do it too. Husbands do it. Women do it. Like, you just get a thrill out of seeing people look at you and you feel accomplished for the night. Like, you could go through a season in your life where maybe you're not feeling beautiful. Maybe your spouse isn't making you feel beautiful. Maybe you've picked up some weight, and she did after having the kids. Maybe you've picked up some baby weight and you're just feeling really down on yourself. What she's saying is, it sucks to not have anybody look at me the way that people used to look at me.
Yeah, and it's like almost impossible to get even a role on her own merit. I'm sure
oh my God,
she can get in a movie, for sure. She's
1,000%.
The wife of Steph Curry, and she probably hates that title. Mm-hmm. So how do we talk to the person that maybe either, let's say, a spouse that kind of gave up their dream because their spouse is, kind of going ahead, and the right thing to do, I would say, is to support your spouse because you are a team and you're a unit, but you can't negate those feelings. Or a business partnership where the other person has to assume the role of their role, which may be even more important than the person in the front, but they want to be in front of the cameras. They want to be that person.
We see it every day in our friend group, where majority of it is wives playing the background to their husbands.
100%.
There's a case or two that I can think of where it's a male significant other playing the background to his female significant other. And we also see the dynamic where both husband and wife are both out front in the spotlight. And I think it's probably challenging. Yeah. I think there's a responsibility for the one who's already further along, for that other person, and I'm not saying husband or wife, whoever is already further along, the other partner, I think it's a great strategy to say, let's get you out there, let's get you solid, let's build this foundation. But if I'm the partner that's further along, I can't help but to think that in the back of my mind, I'm setting up plays for my partner on the background. Like, I never want to be so far removed from their dreams that I make it all about me.
100%. But how long does that last?
How long does it last? But these are conversations I think that have to happen in the beginning, like very early on, so that you have some level of understanding, so there are no surprises. Like, let's go ahead and have the conversation now. Like, what if you make it really, really big? Yeah. Like, what if this takes off and it goes longer than expected? Like, what do you expect from me in that scenario? And these are things that are really, really difficult to gauge. They're really, really difficult to gauge.
So, you know what? I think that's why as soon as Instagram and social media really started coming out, I think that was the decline of groups.
The decline of groups?
R&B groups. Hold on. I got C calling because this is a good story. Yo, C, what up?
My brother, what's up, man?
Man, what up? I got you live on the podcast. You got a second?
Let's go.
Yo, we were talking about a bunch of stuff like Ayesha Curry and Steph Curry. Ayesha kind of playing the background, but she had goals of being a, actress or whatever. But you did that same thing, right? So E.T., incredible speaker, but you weren't no slouch either, as we can see. So we're trying to understand what it's like for someone to put their career on the back that's very talented to say, yo, let me push this person.
Yeah, so I think that first of all, that's a great question. Second of all, the way ET and I's relationship worked and what we set out to do, there was no like personal ambition in it, right? Like, so at the end of the day, when we sat down, the goal was for for us to motivate the world, bring people closer to Christ, and make the greatest global impact that we possibly could, right? That's the end goal. Nowhere in that did it say CJ becomes famous or CJ becomes a household name. It wasn't any of that. It was, what's the best way to get to this goal? So if our goal is to, let's say, buy a house, right? Like at the end of the day, we want to buy $1 million house. It doesn't say, well, this person has to bring this much, this person has to bring this much, and this is how much credit they get for it. At the end of the day, did we buy the house or not? So when E and I got to moving, the goal was actually being attained. Like millions of people were being inspired by the work. So it didn't have anything to do with like, it's my turn to speak now. It was, what's the best practice? So the best practice wasn't for both of us to go speak. We were doing that. It wasn't working. Like when I was speaking and he was speaking, nothing was happening. It wasn't until I said, okay, cool, let me go behind the scenes and try to do the branding and figure out the marketing and all of this other stuff and push it, that it actually began to work. So I feel like in our situation, it wasn't hard for me to go behind the scenes I never put my own ambitions on the back burner. My ambitions were to help as many people get connected to Christ and motivate the world. And that's exactly what I was doing. So I never looked at it and went, oh, gee golly, I'm not being fulfilled. I was being fulfilled. We were winning. We were doing exactly what we set out to do. So in a situation where you have two people on one accord, I don't think the credit matters. We won the NBA championship. I got the same ring that E got. E don't got a bigger ring than I got. His ring say 2025 world champions, and my ring says exactly the same. Now the rest of the world may not know that, or they may not be clued into the fact of how integral a piece I was in that. But at the end of the day, we did exactly what we set out to do, and we're still doing that. So my personal whatever itch was already being scratched because we did exactly what we said we were going to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you never not once was like, dang, I want to. But you can
Nah.
understand how someone could be in the background
Yeah,
like, bro.
I can understand depending on what your goal is. Bro, I never had a goal to be famous. I never had a goal for everybody has to hear what I say and I have this dying POV that needs to be out to the world. That was never the case.
But let me ask you this.
Really wanted,
in that scenario where you did have the desire and you wanted to do it for a period of time, how would you have gone about that? You know what I mean? Like,
I think I would have had to talk to E. I would have had to have a conversation with the guy who I supported and say, hey, in my estimation, and what I really want personally right now is to focus on this. And then we have a conversation about it. But that wasn't how our relationship was set up. Am I mad at people having their own personal ambition? Nah, not at all. I can get it. I understand it. But my ambition and E's ambitions were just tied together. I think if there's I have the need to have this out there and you're being stymied or you feel like you can't get your POV, I understand being frustrated about that. It just was never our case, bro. I don't have no desire for people to be like, yo, CJ was one of the greatest thought leaders of our times. That's not even remotely on my mind. It was never on my mind. My goal was, did we do exactly what we set out to do? And the answer is yes. So in that situation, I think people need to really begin with the end in mind. Like, what is it that you want? You just want people to hear you? Okay, cool. Like, there's a lot of fools out there being heard, but what is it that you actually want out of it? And there's nothing wrong if you feel like, yo, you got this like gift. Like, for instance, I told my wife has an incredible story, an incredible testimony, and she's been, I believe, led by God to share her story and help women out of bondage. So I told her, like, yo, it's not that she came to me like, yo, I gotta get this off. It was like, yo, she got a calling. And so I understand when people have a calling as well. And I think that needs to be addressed. And in that situation, man, I hope everybody get a chance to get out there and get their POV out.
Got it. Man, appreciate it, bro. This adds some color to the conversation.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. All right, well, hey, next time, man, have me on the pod live, man. I
Oh
hope I
my
get an
gosh,
invite.
bro. Yeah, all right, bro. All right.
Yeah, all right, late.
Yeah, that seems like a interesting dynamic, man. Because see what he was saying, like, yo, I was on the road to be a speaker too. He's in the newspaper and all that kind of stuff. And then said, you know what? I'm going to push ET. That, it's
But he
still
also never wanted to be famous. So there's a difference between I want to be a speaker and be on stages and occasionally get an article or two, and I am the in-demand speaker who's traveling all over the world, who needs an agency and a publicist and a manager and all the things. There's a different dynamic.
But no. But he, so when he got with E, he said, "Yo, I'll put that down." But you got to think about a college student that's in the paper. All the people are shouting your name. You a star of football. You have a vision for yourself. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I think that's unique. Where, to especially, I'll say especially men, where one man can, in a very respectful way, submit to the vision of somebody else. That is difficult, very difficult. And it typically doesn't end well because we have a ego. We have a pride about ourselves, right? So I know Jay wants to be the man.
He wants to be the man.
Jay wants to be the man. So in his city, he's that guy. And he be telling us about his stories and all that kind of stuff, right? And he comes here and he's more pushing and working for me. But because I acknowledge like who he's going to be, I'm always pushing him to continue to like, we're going to figure out, how you're going to get your bag up, talking about his brand, his coaching and all that kind of stuff. I don't stifle it because I think if you do, then there's some resentment there. But I understand how men operate. Like, yo, I have a desire. I'm not really putting it down for nobody.
How does that make you feel, though, as the person who's currently in the forefront? Like, I understand that you're never going to stifle his dream, but from a business perspective, having someone in that role that's locked in, that does want to push you, that does want to kind of take the back seat and highlight you, does it make you nervous at all? Does it make you feel like I have to find somebody who's not interested in being the man?
Nah, because it's inevitable. Even if you're not, one day you might want to. And I've been through this 100 times where somebody that's working for me and they're like, yo, I just want to work with you. They use the word serve, like I just want to serve and da 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 da. And we start working together and eventually you see the glimpses. Yo, let me open up, bro. And I get it. I understand, as you should. But it's not my job to stifle that. If that's what you want, then as a leader, I think it's my responsibility to help you get to where you want to go because I want people to live their dream. I can't
1000%.
just come on a podcast and tell everybody, yo, you gotta go live your dream and go after it and then tell my team, hey, it's all about my dream right now.
Well, but I also think, yes, I agree with that. But I also think that there are some people whose dream it is to be a part of a team and serve. Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so my question is positioned as, do you keep working with the people who are going to come and go and move on as soon as they get their big break? Or do you find the people whose dream it is to serve?
I don't know if there's a specific philosophy. Now, if like on our call, if he was like, yo, my goal is to come to Atlanta, work there a little bit, but I really am trying to be this big brand, then I wouldn't have hired him. I talked to, shouts out to my guy, I forgot his name. I met him at Best Buy a couple years ago. He was working there. He's like, yo, I'm a fan of your stuff, da da da. And he's a photographer, videographer. He's just dope, talented. So when I made the post that I was looking for somebody, he replied. And he was like, oh, I'm no longer working at Best Buy, man. I love to work with you, bro. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. And I'm thinking this is dope because he's really, really good. And I said, okay, so, what's your goal? And he starts telling me about his goal and his dream and his vision. And I said, no, thank you. I'm not going to willingly just hire somebody that wants to use me. And I'm not saying he wanted to use me, but what I'm saying is this would be.
So was this the bait and switch?
What do you mean?
Did you have the impression that Jay wanted to serve and then he got here and then he kind of switched it up? Like you would have gone with a different candidate if you knew that?
Nah, because I think he keeps the main thing, and I do believe that there can be some synergy there. You know what I mean? If you're a good person, I can rock with that. So I don't think it was that. It's just every now and again, bro, I be trying to push Kay to do stuff. Kay is that her to the core. She's like, yo, I don't need all that background stuff. I mean all that foreground stuff. She might do her vlog, and I'll be like, push, like, do your vlog, girl. You dope. You're a great actress. She'd be like, all right, I'm cool. And then eventually, I'm sure she's gonna find what she's super passionate about. But my goal is to leave a track record of people that when they do leave, they leave better than when I found them. And I have a laundry list of people that they was doing whatever they were doing, and then they started working for me, and then they're doing their thing. I'm excited about that. So,
I like it.
would you play the background?
Yeah, I have and I do.
I mean, yeah, I guess behind the scenes system stuff. Yeah.
No, even
Would you drop? Okay. Would you drop your career? You met the right person. That they bag is up, and you just they give you a bunch of little babies. That you at the crib, and it's like, I am no longer Coach Donni Wiggins. I am Mrs. So and So.
sign me up.
Sign you up?
How quickly
Take
can
you
we
through
make
there?
it happen? Take me through there. Take me through there. So my goal.
But we don't know though. We don't know until you're in that seat though. We don't know.
I've been near the seat before.
But it's a period of time. So Ayesha, okay, this is cool for me. Oh, we out here. Oh man, this is incredible. And
Yeah.
then years go by, and this.
And so to that point, I don't think I ever want to be in a situation where my voice is quieted. But can I slow down? Do I have to be out in the forefront just as much as my husband? No. And it's actually like I talk about this all the time. When I think about my future, I think about what I'm building with somebody. I'm not thinking about a situation where my husband comes in building his own thing and I'm building my own thing, and we've both got these super busy, conflicting schedules that we got to think through and figure out all the time. I want to build together, right? But in order to do that, and yes, like what I'm purposed to do, it doesn't have to be through my own business. It can be in supporting that person. It can be in supporting and building, but I move around. Like I have to be doing something. So if I'm not doing something in my own business, then we've got to be doing something in yours. And then there's agreements in place and things like there's so much. But yes, right? I'm not going to just lay down my business to sit at home and be quiet and follow behind you all day and not have like an identity. That wouldn't make me happy. That's not the person that I am.
Homemaker.
I'm a homemaker even as a businesswoman. Like it's not
All
either
these
or
kids,
for me.
You're at the crib washing, folding.
Listen, I've been there, done that. I parented a small child in the early part of my entrepreneurship journey. The hardest part, in fact, trying to get something off the ground. Like the conversation about a woman who's in business and a homemaker and a mother is, there are some women who make it their excuse and their reason why they can't wash clothes and do all the things. But I did all of that. And there were days that I did some of it by myself. Like I wasn't in a relationship. So when my daughter's dad didn't have her and she's with me, I've got to feed her. I've got to do homework. I've got to do bath time. I've got to wash clothes. I've got to get her to and from school and cheerleading practice and all the things that she did while I was still building a business. I am a woman. I am a woman who is ambitious, and that doesn't just make me ambitious in business. I am ambitious as a mother. I'm going to be a damn good mother. I am ambitious as a homemaker. You come to my house, it's spotless. There's food in the refrigerator. There's things everywhere. I make it happen. That's just who I am. So I don't necessarily desire a situation where someone is, I wouldn't even date a man who says, if you're running a business, you can't be a homemaker. Those things are not a this or that to me. I think some women choose to make it this or that. Some people choose to make it more of an obstacle than it has to be. That's not my choice, and that's not my track record.
Yeah, I got you. Okay. I think this is a conversation I think some business partners need to have. Yeah, you ever see two business partners and spend some time with them and you see the friction?
Oh my God, 1000%. Just like you see it in a relationship.
All the time, you just see the friction. You're like, ooh, this ain't gonna last long because this person, their ideas, I could tell and maybe it's just I'm intuitive in that way, but I'm like, ooh, they want to get the ideas off, and this person's overshadowing them, and there's not and it might be little stuff that doesn't even matter, but I want to be right. And that is a challenge. I think that's why the divorce rate is what it is, because getting two people to work together it's very, very difficult, especially on an everyday basis. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think we work well. We see each other like once a week and talk throughout
We
the
don't
week.
see each other that much anymore.
I know. What if we worked every single day together? I think we'd be cool, but it would be a little more challenging, like just having someone in your space all the time.
I just think there would be just an element where we would get on each other's nerves, period, just because that's what happens when you see people every day. Like your mood and your temperament goes up and down and, all the things. We don't spend enough time together anymore to have a negative feeling. You know what I mean? It's just all love. But that's why, like, spouses get the short end of the stick because it seems like, oh, you've got such a perfect relationship over there. Yeah, but I spend 24 freaking hours a day with you sometimes. You're going to feel like it's different over here.
My wife be sick of me.
Do she?
Yeah.
What she be saying?
All kind of stuff. But then,
She be fussing at you?
Then she realizes I'm right, and then...
Oh, my God.
All is well. You know what I'm saying?
I would bet that Dre is such an easygoing person. I would bet that 90% of her grievances with you are valid. 90. Because she lets you come and go as you have to. She is the homeschool teacher, the cook, the cleaner, all the things with the kids. She gets them throughout the day where they have to go while you're building your empire. She gives you the space to be David Shands. Y'all's empire. She gives you the space to be David Shands.
Yeah, I'm no easy person to deal with.
Jesus.
All right, bro. I'm not. I don't think anybody's easy to deal with because you got your way of doing things. But yes, I think we do understand our roles. We understand our roles. And my role isn't just to work and her role is to raise the kids. So I have a role where if she's going to go out with her friends, my role is to take care of them kids, to be with the kids, take them for the day. It's not often that I'll take my kids for the whole day and she goes out because she doesn't have the desire to go out like that. I don't have the desire to be out in the streets like that. So I think it works really well. Mm-hmm. But I think we understand our roles. And when I say roles, I think it's situational roles. What am I supposed to do in this particular situation? Mm-hmm. And we have communication. We talk about it. As a role, I know I have to take us on a family vacation every so often. My role is to relieve her of the kids so she can do her thing every now and again. My role is also to come home as early as possible. My role is to make sure we have family time on Fridays. Sundays we go out. Like it's just we have a clearer understanding 7 years later, but it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, there was a transition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was some tussle. You used to be able to work through the wee hours of the morning. It was like you stay at the studio until 7, 8 o'clock, and then you go to the studio and go in that basement and be on live all night long and doing all the things. And Dre had a career before you. Yep. And
that was an interesting story too.
Yeah, Dre had a career before you, and she had to decide to play the background, and not just play the background, but almost be unseen during that season.
Bro, talk about triggering. Actually, this is Hot Seat where she was talking about like first off, that Hot Seat episode was incredible because she was telling a story about some past trauma she went through, and then she started talking about Celebrity 409's wife, and she was saying, she went through her story of like the things that, are triggering for her. And she said, I got to give a shout to my husband because my husband he knows the things that trigger me. And when I start wilding out, essentially, he says he'll look at her and say, I am not mad at you. I understand where that's coming from. And that really changed my whole perspective that day. Just like last week, changed my whole perspective. Because when, let's say, my wife is in a mood or whatever, I'm looking like, yo, you're bugging. What I just said was it's not as bad as you're taking it. You know what I mean? Like, you ask me my opinion on something, I say it, and then you like snap on me. And maybe I need to learn how to say things better, things of that nature, right? But I realized in that moment, in that conversation, something that said is triggering her from some past experience. I say that story to say, when she finally did quit her job the first time, I said something jokingly like being a homemaker or something like that. Trigger.
She went off.
She instantly got upset for a little while and said, I'm going back to work. She decided to go back and get that job. Now, when she went back to work, that didn't last long. A couple of weeks, maybe. She's like, I'm out of here. But that was triggering for her. So I know I learned in that moment not to ever make her feel like the help or a housewife or just a person who raises the kids.
A person with,
She has goals, desires. She sees herself as this corporate woman, and I need to give her the space. So when she quit again, then she's like, I'm going back to work because she was triggered again. And she said, what do you think? I said, I think you should do what makes you happy. Now, I knew you shouldn't go back to work.
Set me off.
No. I can't say, yes, go back to work. And I can't say, no, you're not going back to work. Let's have a conversation.
You're in a conundrum here.
I will support whatever decision you make because I want her to own the decision.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a difference between I want you to do whatever you make that makes you happy and I will support every decision, whatever
100%.
decision you make. There's a difference in the messaging there.
But that's learning a person.
Because saying I want you to do whatever makes you happy in that kind of high intensity conversation is dismissive. Saying I'm going to support whatever you decide to do is supportive.
Yeah. And maybe this whole thing is Steph's fault. Maybe Steph did not see her frustration or never considered who she was when they met. And maybe he should have been more attentive to behind the scenes, talk to, what's my man, Ryan Coogler, and say, yo, call my wife. Tell you're looking for somebody like her. Don't tell her I made the call. But ask her if she's interested. Maybe he could have supported more in that way. Maybe he should have done.
Maybe, but who
it's
says
Steph's
he didn't?
fault, bro. Like, you wildin'.
Steph, you're the reason why your wife is out here on these podcasts saying things and communicating her feelings transparently and getting eaten alive on the internet. And I personally feel like if Steph doesn't have an issue with it, he should say something.
If he doesn't have an issue.
If he doesn't have an issue.
How do you not have an issue with some of that stuff, bro?
Maybe he doesn't have an issue. Like, people started respecting Savannah James differently when LeBron made it clear, whatever she's on, I'm on. Like, period. Whatever she says, I respect that. Like, you're not hearing any new information that I didn't hear first. Like, people respect Savannah James differently because of how her husband speaks of her.
Yeah, but Savannah ain't never said nothing crazy about their relationship either.
She hasn't said that. You know what I mean? But maybe Steph should say, like, who are we to tell these people what they should do? But I think that it could help her and him just a little if he comes out and says, my wife and I have been having this conversation for years. Yeah. And it's therapeutic for her to have the conversation, and I support it.
Yes. But what do we know? We're just podcasters.
We're just
giving
podcasters.
our opinion, you know?
Yeah.
So they get to do whatever they want. It's entertaining. Ayesha, just, if you want to start your podcast, hit me up. I got you. Let's just do a little pod. You can say whatever you want on your platform. I think it'd be dope. She needs a little podcast.
She could use a podcast.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, man, she is a good representation of, like, the conversation that we're having. Somebody who has had a desire to be something and had to suppress it for a while, and now is finally saying, "Yo, I'm outside."
I'm outside, because imagine being that person that sacrificed all of your dreams and desires to be supportive to your significant other, and now you're in your final moment of life and you never got to go after your dream. Imagine how it feels to be a person full of so many dreams that we're 20 plus years later and I'm still just dreaming.
Yeah. Erica said he did. He did come out and say it. I didn't see it.
I didn't see that one.
I didn't see that either.
That one didn't go viral.
That one didn't go viral.
That one's very
man.
low. That
Well,
one didn't
listen,
go
man,
viral.
if you are somebody with a dream and you are currently supporting somebody else's dream, have a real conversation with yourself. Ask yourself, what do you want? What are you willing to trade off? Let it be known at least what you want. And, take it from there.
Take it from there. This has been another amazing episode of the Social Proof Podcast. I want you to be real with yourself. Are you the person who's in the spotlight that may have forgotten that your significant other, the person who champions you and supports you to the max, maybe you forgot that they have dreams too. Maybe you forgot about the promise that you made with them to circle back and spin the block on their dreams and pull them up. Maybe you've gotten so far along in your career that you forgot about the agreement that you had, and that person is just silently resenting you. Or are you the person in the background with the silent resentment that could spill over at any given moment? Have a conversation. Be a better person. Be more aware. Be considerate. And do what's best for you, all right? Maybe in private, maybe not on a podcast. I don't know, unless you want to come on the Social Proof Podcast and talk about it. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.